Hello my dear students and welcome back to Zenith Academy Online. My name is Fatima Vora and I am your English teacher for today. Today we are going to cover a very important, hilarious yet a very strong message conveying poem, Television by Roald Dahl. Let's see about the poem and the poet. Roald Dahl was one of the finest poet and author, one of the greatest storyteller for children of the 20th century. He has great works on his name and he has been acknowledged worldwide. He also served as a fighter pilot during the World War II. In this satirical work, Television, he strongly opposes the installation of television sets at home. The satirical work means when you are giving a strong message in a hilarious way. So here in this poem Television, Roald Dahl strongly opposes the installation of television sets. He requests all the parents to keep their children away from this idiot box in a very appealing and hilarious manner. Now he has also put up some points of why this idiot box, that is the television, should not be present in the home and what can be done as an alternative to using television. Let's read the poem line by line and understand the meaning. The most important thing we have learned so far as children are concerned. Here the poet is addressing the parents of all young children. He is talking to them, telling them that in this journey of life we have learned many things. We have come across many new things. But now as far as our children are concerned, we now learn something new, and that is never, never, never let them near your television set. The poet emphasizes on the word never, means he is strongly opposed with the fact that children continuously watch television. So he tells all the parents that do not let your children near the television set. Or better still, just don't install the idiotic thing at all. So he now says a better way could be that you don't have a television at your home. In almost every house we have been, we have watched them gaping at the screen. Now here the poet talks about having some kind of survey with children and television. So in every house that he has visited, he has always observed children gaping. Gaping is continuously looking at the screen, television screen. They loll and slop and lounge about. Loll is behaving in a lazy manner. Slop and lounge are the positions of relaxed position of sitting when you are watching television. And stare until their eyes pop out. Eyes actually don't pop out, but you are so engrossed in watching television that it seems that your eyeballs are now going to pop out of your eyes. So that is why the poet in the very first stanza is requesting, advising all the parents that you do not install a television set in your home. Let's move ahead. Last week in someone's place we saw a dozen eyeballs on the floor. Now this is exaggeration. The figure of speech uses hyperbole. The poet says during his survey that he visited someone's house last week and there he saw a dozen of eyeballs on the floor. It means that the children of the house were engrossed in television sets. They sit and stare and stare and sit. Stare and sit words are repeated for creating emphasis. Means the children continuously sit in front of the television and stare at it. They have no other work, no other activity. They just want to sit and stare at the screen until they are hypnotized by it. Means the attraction of the television screen is so much, so fascinating that they get hypnotized towards the television. And until they are absolutely drunk, they behave as if they are drunk by the screen, by the pictures, the content that is showing up on the screen. With all that shocking, ghastly junk, all the content showed on television is described as ghastly junk, huge junk which is of no use, and it is shocking because certain things on the television which they show are not even applicable and important in our daily lives. Oh yes, we know it. We know it keeps them still. They don't climb out the windowsill. Windowsill is the window pane. Means here the poet is agreeing with the condition of the parents that I know that television set keeps the children engrossed, busy with it, and they don't do certain monkeying activities around the house like climbing out on the window sill, jumping here and there. They never fight or kick or punch. If you have 2 or more kids in the house, and if you put them in front of the television, they will be busy with it. They will not fight, they will not kick each other, they will not punch, means there will be no chaos in the house, and parents can easily continue with their household chores or their routine. They leave you free to cook the lunch and wash the dishes in the sink. Means the poet is agreeing with the condition of the parent in the house that if the kids are busy with the television, the parent of the house, the mother or father, is free to either cook the lunch or do the dishes or clean the house. Kids will not bother you. But did you ever stop to think? Now you over here is parents. This question is from the poet to the parents, that did you ever stop from your daily routine to think, to wonder just exactly what this does to your beloved tot is your kid. That the time when you are busy with your daily routine or your household chores and you put your child in front of the television, do you even stop to think that what ill effects or what bad does that television screen do to your kid? Now, all the further sentences are written in capital to create emphasis of the effect of television on the young kid's mind. It rots the sense in the head. It kills imagination dead. The poet says that the content shown on the television screen will rot your child's mind, and the imagination power, the creativity in the head, in the brain of the child will be dead. The television screen will kill all the creativity. It clogs and clutters up the mind. Clogs and clutters is blocked. Clogs means blocked. It blocks your thinking power. Clutters creates a mess in your mind. You always are ready to accept whatever is shown on the television screen, and that content is far away from the reality. So your imagination, your thinking power, your creativity is blocked due to the content of the television. It makes a child so dull and blind. Blind is not literally taking away your eyesight, but it also refers to eyesight, because continuously watching the screen has an impact on your eyesight. Later on, if you watch a screen, you continuously, the light emitted from television screen destructs the retina and you have eyeglasses, so it makes you blind. Also, it makes your child dull and blind. Dull means the child becomes passive. Apart from another kid who is active in his school work or playing around, the child who is glued in front of television will become passive and blind to his environment. He will only have one vision in front of him, will be the television screen. He can no longer understand a fantasy, a fairyland. His imagination will be blocked. So he will never understand the fantasies of life or fairyland stories, because he will always have a vision of that content of the television screen. His understanding and imagination will be blocked. His brain becomes as soft as cheese. Now, the brain here is compared to cheese, using the word as soft as. The figure of speech used is simile. There is direct comparison between brain and cheese. Cheese is soft. So your brain is also a soft tissue in the head, but it is compared to cheese. Means it is just a fatty layer in your head with no productive use. That is why it is compared to cheese. His powers of thinking rust and freeze. Rust is when iron rusts and it becomes useless, and freeze, when a dead body freezes, that is also useless. So the thinking power of your child, a young child which is so imaginative, so active, the entire thinking power rusts and freezes. He becomes completely passive and engrossed in television. He cannot think, he only sees. Means his thinking power is cut off. He only sees, he only looks with his eyes, but he cannot think, he cannot process whether whatever he is seeing on the television screen, whether it is right or wrong. That thinking power is clogged. Alright, you'll cry. Alright, you will say. But if we take the set away, now this statement is anticipated from the parent's side. The poet is talking from the parent's side that alright, if you say so, alright, if we do that, we take away the television screen, but what if we take away? What good will happen to us? Because the responsibilities of the parents will increase as they will have to keep the child engaged and entertained all day, which was initially done by the television. So the poet also gives you a solution for this problem. What shall we do to entertain our darling children? Please explain. This question is asked from behalf of the parents' side, that if we take away the television sets from our house or from the children's side, what will we do to keep them entertained the entire day? Please explain. We'll answer this by asking you. We means poet. Poet will answer this question of parents by asking the parents themselves. What used the darling ones to do? How used they keep themselves contented before this monster was invented? Now the question from the poet's side is that before this monster means television. Television over here is described as monster because it is dangerous for the kids. So poet asks the question that before this television was invented, what the children used to do for passing their time? What creativity they had in their life? This question is asked by the poet. Have you forgotten? Don't you know? He is also emphasizing on it by asking the parents that have you forgotten the days, or don't you know when we had no televisions? We'll say it very loud and slow. Now this sentence is important. We will say it very loud and slow. Loud and slow. Why? Because so that each and every word becomes very clear to the parents. They used to read. The words are also given in bold and capital letters to create emphasis. What children used to do before the monstrous thing, television, was invented? They used to read. They read and read and read and read and then proceed. The word read, reading and reading is given more importance because we already know and we have always been taught that books are our best friend. We get immense knowledge from the books. So poet is emphasizing that your kids should read instead of watching television. And the children who were born before the era of television invention, they also used to read and read to keep themselves entertained and pass their time. So the children used to read and read. And to create these emphasis, to create surprise, excitement, the word Great Scott is used. And instead of oh God, as we say in surprise, oh God, the word Gadzooks is used over here. Let's move ahead. One half their lives was reading books. Now there is the children born before the invention of television. One half of their life was covered by reading books. They used to pass their time by reading books. The nursery shelves held books galore. Galore means huge number of books. The nursery shelves where the school or nursery where we go to study, there were huge shelves or books and great number of books were present over there. Books cluttered up the nursery floor. There were so many books in the nursery and children used to read it so often that the entire nursery floor was cluttered up, messed up with books. And in the bedroom by the bed More books were waiting to be read. After coming from school or nursery back home also, the kids at that time had bookshelves where the shelf was full of books and there were books waiting to be read. There were more and more books and even the kids eagerly wanted to read it. Such wondrous, fine, fantastic tales of dragons, gypsies, queens and whales. These are the books described by the poet that the kids used to read. There were many books. There are different genres of book that we read. There are fantasy books, fairyland books, moral stories books. So all these wondrous books the kids used to read. And treasure isles and distant shores where smugglers roved with muffled oars. These words are used to describe books which had pirate stories. So pirates use oars in ships and they travel to distant shores. So these words are used for such pirate stories. And pirates wearing purple pants and sailing ships and elephants. And cannibals crouching round the pot, stirring away at something hot. This entire sequence is describing a story on the ship where you see cannibals, you see pirates, sailing ships. Elephants are used because the ships are huge, mammoth size, elephant size. So the poet emphasizes here on the various types of books available for reading that can keep your child entertained. It smells so good. What can it be? Good gracious, it's Penelope. Now, this statement is in context with the slide staring away at something hot. These cannibals, they are stirring, cooking something very hot and delicious. So when you smell it, you have an imagination of what it can be. So good gracious is showing exclamation, realization that it's Penelope. Now Penelope is a mythical character of a girl who was eaten away by the cannibals who eat human flesh. The younger ones had Beatrix Potter with Mr. Todd the dirty rotter. Now younger ones means the young kids. So the books written for young kids by Beatrix Potter. Beatrix Potter was a story writer and he had written vast range of books for kids, and the speciality of his writing was that he always used animals as characters to depict stories with morals. So his stories had Mr. Todd, the dirty rotter, the squirrel nutkin, Pigling Bland, Mrs. Tiggy Winkle. These were the characters of his narrative stories, and they always fascinated the young minds and kept them busy. Just how the camel got his hump. So, how the camel got his hump? This creates a vast vision, imaginary expanse of the children, that how this could have been possible. And how the monkey lost his rump. And Mr. Toad, and bless my soul, here's Mr. Rat and Mr. Mole. So all these animal characters had some kind of message for the children. So children always used to read Beatrix Potter stories. Oh books, what books they used to know. Those children living long ago. Here the poet emphasizes on the fact that the children who lived in that era where there were no television, they read great books, and oh what great books those were, and only that children they know, because nowadays children have stopped reading. So the children who are born and brought up in the era without television, only they know what great books the authors at that time had written. So please, oh please, we beg and pray. Now the poet is compelling the parents. He is begging and praying in front of him that please throw away your television sets. Even if you have at your home, please throw it away. And in its place you can install a lovely bookshelf on the wall. Once you throw away the television, the space should not be empty. Instead of the television set, you install a fancy lovely bookshelf over there, fill it up with lots of books. Then fill the shelf with lots of books, ignoring all the dirty looks. Dirty looks is here the looks given by the children. When you remove their favorite television from the house, obviously children will protest against it and give you dirty looks. Also fight for that television set, but you have to ignore all that from your children and install a fancy, good looking bookshelf with lot of interesting books in it. The screams and yells, the bites and kicks, these are the actions that would come as a response from your kids. They will scream, they will shout, they bite you, they will kick you, they will be in full protest and anger because their favorite television has been uninstalled or removed from the house. And children hitting you with sticks. Again, this is an exaggerated statement. It is hyperbole. Obviously, children don't hit the parents, but here the poet is showing you the worst part, that in the protest the children might also hit you, but you have to go through all of it for the betterment of your child. Fear not, because we promise you. Now the poet is telling the parents that don't fear all the agitation and protest coming from your child. Don't fear. We promise you that in about a week or two, that once you get a bookshelf installed in your house, in a week or two, your kids will not have anything else to do. Means they don't have the television, so they are free of not having else to do. They will now begin to feel the need of having something to read. Now when they don't have anything to do in their life, they have finished playing, they have finished doing everything, and they have no television to keep them entertainment. In a week or two or in a month's time, they will turn their attention towards a bookshelf and they will start reading. They will take time. The process may take time, and the time varies from child to child interest. But we as a parents have to be patient, and this is the consolation given by the poet to all the parents, that you don't worry, you don't panic, give some time to your children and they will surely turn towards the books for passing their time. And once they start, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy is again giving that enthusiastic feeling. It's an exclamation, it's a feeling that once they start, oh boy, what can I tell you? You watch the slowly growing joy. Once you start reading, the joy of reading increases and you want to read more. Books attract you towards them. That fills their hearts. They'll grow so keen. Growing keen means increasing the curiosity of the child. Once child starts reading, their hearts will be overjoyed and their curiosity of knowing more and more, getting more knowledge from the books will increase. So once they start reading, they will go back to reading only. They'll wonder what they'd ever seen in that ridiculous machine. Now, once your child starts reading, they will wonder that were they really worth of that ridiculous machine? The ridiculous machine over here is television. They will then realize the importance of reading, and also they will realize that how their time and energy was wasted in just staying glued to that television box. That nauseating, foul, unclean, repulsive television screen. Now all these words showing disgrace or something dirty are used, these adjectives are used to describe the television. Nauseating, something that makes you feel like vomiting. Foul, dirty smell. Unclean means the stuff, the content showed on television is not good. Repulsive television screen. Repulsive word is used because it takes you away from the joy of life. You become passive. You stop living your life actively. And later, each and every kid will love you more for what you did. So, the poet has a positive and optimistic message for all the parents, that don't worry even if your child protests or stays angry with you or fights with you. Once they fall in love with reading, once they fall in love with books, they will surely come back to you and thank you for what you did for them. Means the child will also realize that television was not good for them and these books are doing great. The books are helping them grow every day. The books are increasing their imaginative power and creativity and broadening their mind and thinking also. I hope you have understood this poem well. Let's see the recap. Poet advises parents to keep children away from television, stating the various ill effects of it on young children's intellect. Intellect is the thinking power. He uses the word hypnotizes for the effect of television because when the children are glued towards the television screen, they are cut off from the environment. They don't know what is happening around them. They just stay glued to the TV. The television is mentioned as an idiot box, a monster that does not allow a child to grow intellectually. Instead, it rots their senses and thus a child's imagination dies. The child cannot think imaginatively, creatively, his thinking power clogs, dies. He says that it's understood that keeping kids occupied is easier with television. Here he is sympathetic towards the condition of today's times parents, where they have to take care of certain things, juggle around certain things. He understands that keeping children is quite easy with television, but as a parent, it is our duty towards our children to keep them away from it. He appeals to the parents to install a bookshelf instead in place of the television set, so that young minds get nourished by knowledge instead of getting nourishment or getting passive because of that junk seen on television. The children will in turn oppose this change. Change means the removal of television set, and revolt against it. Revolt and protest in front of the parents. But later they will embrace the reading as their hobby. Once they fall in love with books, they will embrace it. Once they fall in love with reading, they will never end, and also the children will finally thank their parents for introducing books to them. So the poet is saying that you just install the bookshelf and see, give them some time and let your kids fall in love with reading. Once they start reading and their imagination grows and they fall in love with books, they will come back to you and thank you for what you have done for them. So my dear children, I hope this entire poem and its meaning is very clear to you. If you have liked our video, please stay tuned to Zenith Academy, hit the like button and share it with your friends. All the best. Thank you.